hell? Why does it pop up with like I use news for? Come on, what? Gee, thanks. What is this? All this garbage. Come on. Close. I don't want to stupid browser windows. Sorry, I'm a little flustered. Let's see. Come on, Revit. You can do it. Let's go. I feel like I have to encourage Revit to like try to move a little faster. A little more motivation here, Revit. And I think I should have like an example file I can just throw in here. Let's see. So I'll talk about how to add floors for your circulation. We'll talk a little bit about walls and curtain walls if you need to add glass or storefront. And what else? I can, we'll talk about stairs and elevators. Yeah, sorry. Let's see. Project one, project two. What's the difference? Oh my gosh. Maybe I'll try two. It's older, later. I don't know. It's not that big of a file. Come on, Robert. Did you guys hear and see my screen all right? Hopefully.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. So you can see here that I have a hot mess going on here. Let me just take a look at this really quickly. I have wireframe on. I'm just gonna go down here where it says wireframe. I'm gonna say maybe shaded. Let's see. There we go, just so I can see everything a little better here. While I'm trying to model stuff. Let's see. And I'm gonna go to level one. Let's see if I have a grid here. Right, so I mean what I'm looking at right now is that I have a forest of columns that don't really correspond much to anything except maybe the 20-foot spacing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these lines of columns right here and scoot them back so that they actually line up back here. And I'm just going to make a spine back behind here. And I'll get rid of this. I don't need these. So let me just try that. I'll go to level one. Hopefully I can just move this. Oh yes, look at that. I'm just going to say, let's go make this 10 feet. See how it added a dimension line to the other one? Yeah, look at that. Oh yeah. All right. I'll just try to get rid of that. This other column line, I don't necessarily need that. And because I modeled these on the column grid, as soon as I move that grid line, all the columns move with it, right? So that's it's always nice when a plan comes together. So in 3D view here, you can see that I have now a sort of a steel spine starting to take shape here. Oops, let's see. And 20 by 10, which is a quite a quite an interesting proportions, but whatever. I have beams running down this side, but I don't have beams running down this side. I haven't really modeled this yet. Let's see here. What do we have here? It's annoying that this thing wants to zoom extents with this, but all right, here we are. So realizing I don't have beams drawn, but I'm just going to go ahead and start modeling more anyway. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start making floor slabs for the second, third, fourth, fifth floor along this spine. Later, I can worry about how stairs work with them, how elevators work with them, or even putting in railing or things like that. But I'm just going to go ahead and quickly let's start looking at some of these other things that we see here. Right, we have things like ceilings and floors and roofs. All right, so I'm going to go to level one. Okay, there's my plan. I'm going to go to level two now, and I want to draw, like I say, a second floor. a slab. Actually, let me do level one. I don't actually have a level one floor slab. I should probably do that. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to Architecture tab up here at the top, go to Floor and say Architectural Floor. And then it's going to ask me what kind of floor I want. Is a generic 12-inch thick floor. That's kind of a thick floor, honestly. If I wanted to, I could say, let's say concrete, 3 inches of concrete on a 2-inch composite metal deck. That's what it looks like in the section that sort of pops down underneath. Um, maybe I'll use that. Why not? And now you can see that I need to modify or create a floor boundary. So I'm just going to go up here and start drawing with line segments. And I can start, aha, look at that. I can start drawing the edge of the concrete slab that I want. So I'm going to go all the way over here at the end, sort of zoom out and then zoom back in the right place. And come all the way over here and do this. To this. Let's see here. And I'm trying my best to sort of interpret the symbols that my cursor turns to when it's trying to snap to an endpoint versus an intersection, or versus, look at this, perpendicular right angle. Look at that. All right, I love that. I love right angles. Those make everything just a little easier. And when I click back, it sort of closes things up. And if I hit the green check mark, I'm golden, right? And look, there's a floor slab now on level one. Let's go to 3D view. There it is, right? It's sort of highlighted in blue. Now that maybe is like right at the ground, but I can do the same thing for level two, or I can make a copy of that one and then paste it onto level two. But I'm just going to quickly, I'm going to make I'll go to level two and I'll make a slab there and we'll sort of see it in real time. All right. So again, floor, let's see, there it is, floor, architectural, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm going to make sure that I'm drawing, you can draw like rectangles, and I'm just going to go here with the polyline tool and just crank this out real quick. There we are. I'm always going around. I want to close this shape up so now it knows that there's an inside to fill with 3 inches of concrete poured on a 2-inch composite metal deck. And when I'm done, I want to make sure, again, I'm making the floor boundary. I hit that green check mark and then it knows that I'm done. You can see here that I can quite clearly see the floor slab, and in level in the 3D view, I can see it as well, right? Okay, and it's sitting there right there on that beam. Remember, we moved the beam down 5 inches, taking into consideration 3 inches of poured concrete on a 2-inch metal deck. So that worked out really well. Thinking a couple steps ahead. So if I go back to level two, and let's say I want to change um, this floor slab, I can select it. And here in the Modify tab, I can say Edit the boundary. And let's say I wanted to make it only come to here. I can do that, right? I'll highlight in pink the edge, and I can select and delete part of it away and redraw it. I can, let me just undo that. I can select it and then move it. Or I can add more detail, take out detail. But before I hit that green check mark, I just need to make sure that's closed again, right? And that way it can fill in the inside with concrete, right? So if I hit OK and go to my 3D view, now let's see over here, it actually stops short. It stops right here. And so with this module, I didn't actually make doorways, but I can, if I did that in Rhino, then I could easily make a little bridge, that connector that's the same width of the hallway, go right out from this walkway out to the opening wherever I need to. And if I do that on levels 2, 3, 4, whatever, then things start to match up pretty nicely, right? So let me just go to level two. I'm just going to edit boundary and move this back over here. Hit the green check mark. And now I'm going to say it's selected because it's highlighted blue. I'm going to say copy, not add coping. Copy. Here we go. Copy to clipboard. And if I go to level 3, oh yeah, look at that. Then I can say paste to current view. And level 4, I could do the same thing. Paste to current view. And even level 5, man, I can just make copies of this so the day is long here. All right, so let's go to 3D view. Now you can see that I've just basically replicated that, copied it up. Um, level 5 seems a bit extreme because that's probably where I'd have a roof of some sort. But level 4, 3, 2, I can start to play around with this. So it's not lost on me that now I need to start thinking about envelope skin as well as vertical circulation. And then because these are actual floors, I can actually put railing in Revit. So if I wanted to actually use the Revit railing, I can. I can't really draw that on a generic object from Rhino without it sort of being defined as a floor. Because what you'll do is you'll go to level 2. Let's say I want to put a railing right here in this open area. I can do that by going to the architecture tab still and go to the railing. I can say sketch the path for the railing, and it'll just let me pick where I want railing, right? So I can start to draw a line talking about the path that railing gets deployed along. So I can hit OK, green check mark. You'll see what it looks like in plan, but let's look at the 3D view. And there's the railing, right? Now that's the worst railing I can think of. It doesn't look so hot. I'm going to go ahead and delete it because I just makes me like visually it's just but let me go to railing again. Let's sketch path. And what you can see is that over here in the properties, there's several things you can pick from right off the bat. So there's glass panel, bottom infill. Maybe I'll try a bottom glass panel, and I'll try pulling back from this column just a bit so it doesn't look like it's actually conflicting with the column. But that's the path for it. Let's draw that in. And let's see here. Now let's look at what it looks like in 3D. There we go. All right. So this is what I was talking about with the sort of kit of parts, right? Like, there's rules for how you can deploy uh, pieces like steel frame and railings and floors, etc. And once you know what Revit wants and what it likes to do, it works quite fluidly and letting you just sort of put these things in, these kit of parts. Excuse me. Let's see if I wanted to actually enclose this. Let me just go around to the other side so you can maybe see what I'm talking about here. There we are. Let's say I actually wanted to enclose this with glass and sort of dedicate part of this to being an outdoor courtyard in between these modules. But then I sort of infill with glass. So this spine will be a continuous indoor piece. Again, I'm going to go to level 1. I'm going to look at where I'm at here. Okay. So I know that this bay is a module. I know this bay is open. I know this bay is a module. And what I'm going to do is, these look like they're different. Yeah, this looks like 1922. Oh, I bet I probably changed them based off of the actual dimensions of my what do you call them? The modules, the light vessels. Okay. Anyway, and so if I wanted to add, let's say, full glass there, or something like that, what I can do is I make a wall. I'll make an architectural wall. And then when I look at all the different types of walls, I go down to the very bottom, well, close to the very bottom, and you see curtain walls. So exterior glazing curtain wall. And now I can just simply draw in a wall like that. And I'll just right click and cancel so I don't keep drawing more wall. Let me just look and see what that did. Okay. Let's go back to level 1. There it is. All right. So you can see that basically I just have it's so annoying how anyway, you can see that I have a wall and it's basically just glass. Doesn't have a grid on it yet that's worthy of me playing around with. Doesn't have mullions. I haven't set it to the right height yet, etc. So, but I say it starts at level one, and let's just make it go up to level five or four or something like that. Okay, there we go. And of course, I could always change the dimensions of this wall. Right now it looks like it sort of smacks into this and through it. When actually it would come right up to it, and we'd have put some backer rod and some silicone or something in there, just to sort of seal it off. So if I went to level one, again, this is a wall. When I have it selected, I can take its endpoints and I can drag it a bit. Do something like that. Let's go back to the 3D view. That looks a little better. I actually need to drag this over a little more, but it is what it is. Now, like I mentioned before, we have this grid, or sorry, this what's going to be a curtain wall, but it doesn't have mullions or anything like that in it. Um, and what we can do is we can go to architecture and we can say curtain grid, curtain system. Yeah, okay, let's see, curtain grid. There we are. And this allows us to select all the segments, one segment, add segments, right? We can start to, let's see. Here you go, right? So as I draw my cursor, I can begin to add more grid lines. So now I've made this so that basically we have these things 3 feet on center. Before I add mullions, I'm just going to make sure that works. And of course, I can always look at the elevation view if I want to sort of see this orthogonally or three-dimensionally. This is getting a little hairy. Because what I would do is I'd probably try to line it up with, what's going on the inside of it, like make it line up with floor to floors, things like that with my horizontal mullions. Let me just see if I can rely on a south elevation just to sort of see this stuff. Okay, apparently not. Jeez. All right, let me unclip. Let me go to my scope box and apply that one. Let's see what I have here. There we go. Okay. My elevation's up here. It's a south elevation. Well, I can just barely make that out. Okay. So maybe I go back to my 3D view and we'll go from there. Because everything's sort of turned and twisted, it's, um, you know. So I can begin to do this. I can begin to look for ways to, here, let me just select this again, go to architecture, curtain grid, and there we go. I can begin to slide horizontals down as well. Let's say I want 6 inch, 6 feet, 6 feet. So I have a 6 by 3 sort of grid. Let's see. And maybe that looks okay to me. Um, and now once I have that, I can go to architecture mullion, and it's going to say, do you want to select just one grid line or grid line segments or all the grid lines? I'm going to say all the grid lines. I'm going to select this one. And now it's put 2.5 by 5 inch rectangular mullions in for me, right? So it's a little involved, but that's the logic of this. First of all, when you're doing a curtain wall or storefront, you build a wall, right? You go to the architecture of the wall tool and select the right kind of wall. A wall architectural, then you go scroll down and you can get storefront or exterior glazing curtain wall. And then you draw that in plan, right? Just like you would a solid wall. Then what you see is a glass membrane, and it's all about sort of talking about the modules of the panes of glass, right? So you go to the curtain grid, and you can start to manipulate that grid. And then once you have the grid all set, then you can turn all the grid lines into mullions, the frame, right? That the glass sits in. Okay. Now this would be a big south-facing thing, so I'd probably want to make sure that I'm shading this. A lot of you guys have been playing around with, putting hats on your building, so to say, so that's a good thing. You can see that I have some collisions here. So this, for instance, it looks like this thing is like sticking through the concrete. So I need to go back to level one, and here's where I can get kind of screwy here. Is your grid might start to change. right? Because as your dimensions change, let's see what that looks like. Okay, I've pulled this way too far over. All right, well, that's good to know. It's a little better. It's close. At that point, I probably want to see where I'm actually trying to smack this up to and be more precise. But you can see now I have a different grid and right. So if I select this, for instance, and I go back to architecture, curtain grid. Yeah, let's see here. Really wants me to draw horizontals. I don't know why. But anyway, you can begin to change this stuff up as you need. Um, if I modify, let's see, that's at the wall. There's a way to get in here and see the grid again and start to drag the lines around. I would just have to Google that and maybe watch a YouTube video to remember that. That's how that's how lame I am sometimes with the Revit with some of the details. I don't find it too nice of them to actually make this more of an intuitive interface, to be honest. But it's a pretty powerful tool, regardless. It's the industry standard. So that's why I want you guys to get involved with learning some Revit and utilizing it properly. From here, I could put on a roof. Maybe I do that, but here's the thing. I would probably, let's go to my section. Right now I have like a level 5 and a level 6, but here I have the top of this. This is level 5, or if I needed a new level, I can make a roof level. But if I go to level 5, then what I could do is I could make a roof by footprint, right? So I'm going to draw the footprint of the roof, and let's try this. I'm just going to try to match this up here. And of course, I think, again, it's made to try to make this easier for you. Almost like if you're at a parallel bar, um, it's going to try to find all the right angles and based off of the angle of your grid that you started with. Let's hit OK. Right now, here's the bad thing about this, right? Look at this roof. It's terrible. They wanted to make a hip roof. That's completely inappropriate for what we're doing. Like that's just silly. It looks like a Hampton Inn and Louisville, Kentucky or something, right? That's not what we're going for at all. And so if I select that roof, and you can see that it has a slope 9 inches every 12 inches, I can say 0 and hit apply, and it becomes just a flat roof. Okay. You can also see that I have a bunch of columns sticking out through this. And so now I would need to sort of select all my columns one by one and tell them to only go up to level 5. And then I might even need to offset them so that they don't go right up to the edge here, but they actually sit right underneath the roof or whatever. But anyway, so once you have your grid established and you start to have a steel frame established, then you can start to infill with the more pieces, floors, and perhaps curtain wall if you want that. This is not even close to meeting up. I don't know why. Let's see. Let me just. Oh, this is so frustrating how this works. Okay, so let me go to level 5 and see what's going on here. Let's go to level 4, see what's going on here. Oh, I see. So I need to bring out that roof and come around over this way. All right, so I'll do that. I'll do that really quickly. I'll go to level 5 again. Here's my roof level. You could always just call it, instead of level 5, you call it roof if you want, if that helps you remember. I'm going to select it, just like with the floor. I can edit its footprint. In this case, I'm going to move this over here and then start to redraw this, but then start to add. So I'm going to go and start to draw some more. And Just sort of anticipating what I have here. I'm not sure why level 5 is not showing me the top of that curtain wall. It's annoying, but it is what it is. There's probably a way to fix that. But once I close that up, I can hit can't make footprint roof. Why? Ugh. Why? 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 Is it closed? Should be closed. Okay. I really wish it would tell me why. Hmm. I have this set to no slope. It looks like it's all sort of matching up. It's all mated together. That looks good. And that one looks good. What in the what? Ugh. Delete that one and start that one again. Maybe since I stretched that one, maybe I'll just try this one more time, make sure it all stretches. Hit the green check mark. God, I hate you sometimes, Revit. All right, cancel. What in the? No. Looks exactly like what I want. I'm not sure why it's not giving me like a useful error here. Can't make footprint roof. Must be addressed in order to continue. But you're not telling me. Hey, let's see. Generic 9-inch roof. Let me just try something like 12-inch and see if that. No, it's telling me go straight to hell. All right. Well, that's great. I love it when Revit does this to me. Hmm. Okay. Let me just get rid of this one. We'll simplify this just so I can finish the stupid demonstration. Aye. All right. Close it up. Close, you damn thing. Highlight lines cannot intersect each other. Show. Oh, that makes sense. Continue. I left a line here. That would help. All right, let's hit the green arrow. Oh, this is driving me up a wall. Why is this giving me an error? Shut up. Oh. All right. Well, anyway, that's how you make a roof. All right. Yeah, sure. Stupid Revit. Stupid idiot. All right. Edit footprint. Let me try this one more time. And I don't know why this would be such a pain at all. I don't get it. Really? There we go. And I'll just finish this dude up. I mean, this is not a complicated roof. I don't get it. All right. Well, anyway, I'll hit end. But what I'd want to do is make sure that these things actually close up, right? So I'd pull this part of the roof out and over, and then keep the curtain wall at this point going over, going back. So I mean, again, it's not foolproof. You do have to figure out things. Things have thickness to them. That's one of the bigger things you sort of start to key into when you're starting this process of building the building information model in Revit. So why don't I just here edit footprint? Stupid thing. Let me go to level 5. I'll just pull this whole thing out a little more. Ugh. All right, 3D view. All right, now I have something that looks like it works with this curtain wall. All right. Excuse me. And of course, I would still need to, I'm going to select all these at once, go to my selection filter, just make sure I have structural columns selected only, and then tell them all to go up just to level 5 and hit apply. Somehow I missed that one. Let's put that to level 5, hit apply. All right. Should we also talk about stairs and elevators while we're here? I think we should. All right. So I have a floor to floor, and that's a big deal when it comes to thinking about stairs. Your floor to floors are what's going to dictate quite a bit about your stairs. If I go to level 2, I can see that I am 15 feet. I've tried to stick to 15 feet floor to floor here, um, even though the ground is kind of sloped. But anyway, I'm going to try 15 feet. Let's see, floor to floor, 15 feet. Another thing I'm going to talk about here is that right now I have these things just sort of hovering. I probably want to put a set of columns underneath. But anyway, I'll get to that in a minute. Let's start talking about stairs. So if I think about, let's go to the section, my floor to floor, right? And I think about the sort of typical stair. Typical stair might be somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 rise, 11-inch run, right? That's No, very typically the stairs are going to be it's going to be close to that, but different. And the reason why is you have to think about that floor to floor. It's really kind of a fluke and absolutely lucky for me to just get 15 feet floor to floor, and that's the perfect size. Oftentimes it can be some odd sort of fractions and maybe not a perfect round foot number. So here's the way to think about it, right? If I have 7 to 8 inches of rise, um, and I have to go 15 feet up and from this to this, say that's 15 feet, um, then let's see. I try to think about what's 15 feet in inches. 15 times 12 is, well, let's see, 8 times 12 is 96, and 7 times 12 is 74. 96 and 74. No, wait, 84. Yeah, never mind. I'll just use my calculator app. I've slowly turned into an idiot when it comes to doing fractions and multiplications. Okay, 180 inches. So that's what we have to work with, right? So if I take 180 and I divide it by, uh, let's say 8 inches height, then I have about 22 and a half stairs. That's a nice round number. All right. It's something to think about because I typically try to think about this ahead of time, but here's how Revit actually works this out for you. Okay. So if I go to my 3D view, let's see if I can do this in 3D view so we can see it in real time. If not, I might have to go to one of the plan views. All right, and I go to architecture and I go to stair. It's telling me I haven't saved my project in a while, so yeah, I'm going to do that. Okay, so I have to actually go up to, let's try it on level 1. Let's put it on level 1. I have to go to a plan view to run my stairs. And you can see again, every time I start one of these tools or try to modify, select something I've already made, right? It takes me to this modify or create tab. And so you'll see that I have some options here. One is to create a run of stairs by specifying points. Do I want to do auto landings? Create a string or a carriage? Yeah, okay, that's fine. Do I want a straight run? Do I want a spiral staircase? Very few times do you actually use spiral staircase, especially for something that you want to be useful for egress, life safety egress. Automatic landings toggled on. It's sort of highlighted blue already. I want to do a straight run. And what it's going to do is it's going to tell me that I need to go from level 1 to level 2. It's 15 feet. And it's going to give me a minimum maximum riser height to work within. And the depth is going to be 11 inches. And it's going to tell me that I have 6 steps created. Still need 20. So as I start to move this so that I get 13 and 13, that's a good run, right? 13 one way, 13 the other way. I'm going to go ahead and start this run and move this direction. And it's automatically put the landing for me. And here's the other interesting thing. I can hit green check mark now. I'll go ahead and do that. And let's see what it gives me in a 3D view. I have a set of stairs. What I need to do is actually change the direction of them and then start to slide my floor slab around to meet up with them, right? So I'd probably draw the stairs in the other direction, switch back to here. So anyway, I have some things to do. I'm going to draw the stairs here in a minute. But the other thing is I can also tell it how many floors it goes up so I can create a stair tower. All right. And each time it's going to look at those levels to level and the floor to floor height and then begin to use the same rules. All right. So that's what's kind of nice about this is that you can see that I have stairs, railings, landings all put in. It's all to code. That's always a good thing. Let's go to level one. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take all these stairs and delete them again. All right. Let me just redraw this. All right. Another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly select this floor slab, maybe quickly. Let's see. Go up to level two and there we go. And edit its boundary. I'm going to pull it back to like right here or something like that. It doesn't look like I need that much room, but I can actually, maybe I just do this. So I can always move this later, but I'm just going to hit enter. All I did there was take the second floor slab and pull it back a little bit. But I'm going to go back to level one and let's just sort of see what I have here. So if I say again, architecture, stair, and I have my automatic landing, the location line is the center. So if I draw that line for the run of steps, it's going to be along the center. I could say exterior support, run left, run right, exterior support right. And I can also make sure that the width is correct. Let's see here. But I think that'll work. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make this. I'm going to say I need 13 and 13, and that way I'll have a nice sort of set here of, there we are. And let's see, it's also putting railing in. I might want to change that railing later because I don't want that pipe stringer. Maybe I'll want, well, of course I'd want to use the same stuff I was using before. So in that case, glass panel. All right. Let's see here. I'm just going to hit the green check mark again. Let's take a look at this. The other thing I can do is I can move this around and get in the right place. Oops. Or try to anyway. Let's see here. Did I have everything selected? All right. So anyway, let's go to the 3D view and you can see that now I have a stair here where I want it. Now I have an issue with where the grade is. And so that's where I might start to play around with cutting out that ground just to make sure everything matches up. Um, but or maybe just taking the ground out before I put this in. Let's see. But you can see here now I can go to level two. I can edit its boundary. I can slide this over just so it matches right up with that. I can then draw railing around it, etc. Make this up to code. The other thing I can do, let's go to level one and let's see here. I can go to the stairs and I can say edit stairs. Okay. I can always edit these things later on, move them around. When I select them, another thing I can do is I could say select levels. And so I can go to the section view. And then I can actually tell it and select all of these and hit enter, connect levels, and hit OK. And now it's going to go up to all those levels. I can say connect and disconnect. Let's disconnect this level. Level 6 looks like it's not good. And then I can go to 3D view. You can see that I have a staircase going all the way up now. Some of you might run into the same issue that I'm having right now with the ground sort of sloping. And so maybe in the afternoon, if anybody has that issue, or sometime today or tomorrow, maybe not tomorrow, but sometime today or Thursday, we can try to look at the terrain and Revit and just cut that out, just so we can sort of make a nice flat slab for the museum to sit on. Um, it's not necessarily my biggest concern at the moment. Let me just move that and this one. Of course, we need to bring this up to hit the roof if we wanted to have people use the roof, get up on the roof with these stairs. And of course, then I could go around and actually make a fire rated wall if I wanted to. Let's just go to level one and let me just select everything here to try to drag. And I'm going to go to my selection tool again. I have floors, grids, railings, rail tops, RVT links. I'm going to go ahead and unselect these multi-story stairs, the railings and top rails. Hit apply. There we go. And I'm just going to simply move this into a better position here. Center it up in between. Oh, I didn't guess I didn't really center that up, did I? There it is. I just, for some reason I can't eyeball. I really wanted to like show me in real time, like where this thing's moving to, and it just doesn't do that. I hate the move tools. There, maybe that's a little better. And then of course, then I would need to go to uh, edit edit these again. All right, that's fine. So I'd need to go to the slabs and pull those back again. Line them up with the stairs. All right. But if I go to level one, then I can start to make an architectural wall, architecture tab wall, wall architectural. I don't want a curtain wall around this. I want like, let's say a nice fire rated wall. When we talk about fire stairs, let me just talk about this in broader terms here for a minute. Um, I'll just turn my annotate tools on. Here we go. What you're looking at is a spine of hallway circulation going this way and this way, right? And so let's say I'm just right here in this uh, first, second, third floor hallway or corridor. What I need is, in case of a fire or some sort of emergency, I need two ways to get out, right? So I can go this way to get to this stair, or I can go this way to get this stair. If I don't put a stair here, then people are screwed. If there's a fire right here blocking the way to an exit, then you become a French fry. That's not what we absolutely don't want that. And that's why we've written fire and life safety codes the way we have. So again, let's just sort of zoom out for a moment, right? This is a steel frame, and steel performs under certain norms, right? Like it's pretty strong stuff until it gets up to a certain temperature, and after that, it starts to fail structurally, right? And then what we're trying to do when we try to create routes to get out, and we try to add fireproofing, things like that to steel. We're not necessarily trying to save the building. We're trying to keep the building to stand up long enough for everybody to get out safely. Um, so that's why you'll see a 1 hour fire rating or a 2 hour fire rating. That means that if there's a fire at a certain temperature, you have 1 or 2 hours or whatever that rating is before that fire would make it through and start to melt steel or start to get through a wall and break its way into the fire stairs, right? So, but essentially, um, you have. Let me just double check this. All right. Anyway, but essentially, that's what we think about when we're talking about life safety, right? If I'm a person here, right, do I have two safe ways to get out? In case one of them is blocked, then the second is an alternate way, right? So when we have a wing like this, and that's what I keep talking about, how we think about the logic of circulation. It's not just getting you from point A to point B, it's also a degree of life safety involved with when there's an emergency. We need to make sure that we have fire-rated ways to get people out within an hour or two and safely away from the building. Um, and so we'd probably want to put another stair over here, a stair tower on this direction, right? Now, what would happen um, if I put a stair tower here, but then I also continued the floor on? This is what we would call a dead end corridor, and we want to avoid those at all costs. You're only allowed dead end corridor up to like a certain amount of feet, certain amount of length, but they should be avoided in any case, right? Because what happens with a dead end corridor is you basically confine somebody again to one means one point of egress. And so, if I look on either end of this person, what we don't want is for them to get to this edge because there's a fire right here. They can't get to the stairs, and then they have to make a choice. Do I hope that the fire is suppressed in time, or do I jump and think I'm Superman, right? So it's kind of grim to think about, but you know, as an architect, you're responsible for the safety and welfare of the well-being of anybody that comes in contact with your building, outside, inside, whatever, right? It's a safety thing. It's a legal liability thing. And so that's why we have fire codes to help mitigate some of those risks, and to do best practices when it comes to in the event that we actually have a fire or emergency for people to get out of the building safely. All right. So in this case, this is a stair tower. I just stacked these up. I have the same floor to floor height each time. That makes it really easy to sort of do a generic stair. And well, I would still need to sort of cut this out in the roof. And then next thing I would do is probably build a set of walls around this and then add floors into the walls and then add a roof up here, right? Fire stairs usually go up past the roof so they can help serve the roof. If you're up here on the roof, let's say you're doing maintenance or painting it or whatever it is, right? You still need two means of egress to get off that roof in case there's an emergency. I mean, it's really bad luck if you're there for an hour to do routine maintenance and then suddenly there's a fire. But, right, you're also an occupant of the building and you need two means of egress, right? So let's just take a look at that. I'll go to level 1. And here's my stair. And I'm going to go ahead and draw a wall, architectural. And I'm just going to go up and I'll just do a generic like concrete 8-inch or CMU. I don't want to do brick on CMU. That's not, you don't see a lot of brick in Las Vegas. Um, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and build a wall around this. I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'll let the framers decide how the wall goes around the columns in a minute. But, um, this is basically what I'm going to do. And then what you can see is that this is the landing to go up and then around and up and around and up and around. And so what I want to do is also put doorways in. So let me just quickly select these walls that I just drew. Let's take a look at them. Hold down the control key, select all four. Go to my 3D view. You can see that by default, just made 20-foot tall walls instead of connecting them up at a level at the top. So let me just do that. I'll go ahead and go up to level 6. Yeah, there we go. Right now we have a stair tower that's going to pop up over. Go ahead and hit save. All right. And now what we need to do is have doorways that go to each of these stairs at each floor, right? So if I go to let's start at level 5. Let's put a doorway in, right? I can go to architecture tab, door, and I can then select the type of door I want. I'm just going to go with a 36 by 84. I'm not going to pay too much more attention to this. And I'm going to go ahead and see what's interesting is that you can't just put a door anywhere. You have to put it into a wall. And then what that does is actually adds the wall, the opening in the wall for you. It adds the door swings, etc. I'm not sure why it's not drawing the door swings for me here. There it is, though. There's the door. And it's going to swing inward, right? So if you think about this just for a moment, this is this is again genius when you think about it, right? Let's say that I'm looking at a person and plan, their shoulders and a head, and give them a little ball cap here, whatever, running this way to a fire exit, right? They want to be able to hit the closure, the door closure, and swing it out away from the direction that they're moving, right? So it's going to swing out this way and go down. And I believe actually it's the other way around. So I need to actually put the doorway here, right? So that it would swing out and then they could just go this direction, I believe. Yeah. So once I have that door in, I can begin to change its properties. You'll see here that I can change the direction of swing in or out, and I can also change it this way, and I can always just move it, right? So I can move it over here and line it up better with the actual route and stair. There we are. And so what I would do is I would start to do that on each floor. Right. So here we go. Again, in the direction of egress. So this is where the landing stops and it starts to go down and then around to the next floor down. So I'm going to go to door and I'll just use the same door. I'll just pop this in and then I will swing it out that way. There we are. And I can do this floor by floor. Now, when I get to level one, aha, something a little different here, right? In level one, first of all, I'm not going down to a basement. So level one is like the bottom. And level two, you're coming from uh, this direction and around, and then you hit the ground right here. And so again, in the spirit of making sure that this is opening in the direction of egress on the bottom floor, your door swings are going to swing out again, out of the way of the direction of egress. So they're going to swing outwards because people leaving the first floor aren't going to go up and go up towards the second floor, and uh, so they're what they're going to do is they're going to leave in the building. And so again, that just shows you how the fire stairs work, right? And hopefully the logic behind them. Here, let me just close that. Architecture door. So in this case, I put a doorway here. I would swing it out that direction. Right. Away from the direction of egress, right? What happens if this was going the other direction? Let's say it was going in this direction, right? What happened is if you have four or five people racing to the door down the stairs, and then you press against this door and it's supposed to swing in instead of out, you start to crush people, right? Let's say if there's a crowd, right? And it's kind of a grim thing again to think about. But what you want to do is again grease the wheels here, so to say, making sure that things are swinging the right direction away from the direction of egress. And that way, in the case of emergency, you don't have a bunch of killed people, but you have a bunch of safe people that get out of the building, and then they can cross the street and watch the fire department do their job. All right, so let's see. So that's or that's stairs, right? What's interesting is that there are ways to automate ramps. In fact, more ways than you ever wanted, probably. So if you wanted to do a set of switchbacks here, but those wouldn't be like the most direct and easy routes to get out for life safety. In that case, you would want a set of a fire tower, sorry, stair tower with fire rated walls around it and door swings going the right direction here. All right. Now we'd put a roof over this one. We'd cut a hole in the roof here in order to change this around. So let me just do that. I quit sketching. I'm not going to actually make a ramp. But sorry, let me just go to level 5 and change this roof around now a bit. Um, what we'd want to do is edit the footprint. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw an inside shape, completely inside this outside shape. And that ought to do it when it comes to, it's kind of close anyway, when it comes to actually making a hole in the roof. Inner loops of footprint states might not have slope defining lines. Yeah, okay. I'm good with that. Why? I don't know. Something's goofy with my roof. I don't understand what it is, but whatever. Yes, just discard, you stupid piece of crap. All right, anyway. 3D view. Should we talk about elevators? So with elevators, let's say I'm just going to put in a bank of elevators right here in my middle courtyard. If I'm thinking about it here, let me just turn this around. So in this bay right here, right, they're going to have another module here, another courtyard here, another module here. In my case, so let me just turn it this direction, and then maybe that's a little extreme. What I'm going to do is I'm going to maybe make some elevators that run this direction up here. So again, I'm going to go to level one, and let's see. So courtyard, bay, courtyard. So right in here. What you can see is that I have architecture. I don't necessarily have an elevator button in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and insert. I'm going to say load an Autodesk family. So I'm going to say insert tab, load an Autodesk family. This is not so obvious, and so that's why I wanted to get this recorded for you guys. What it's going to do is it's going to bring a bunch of Autodesk families I can download from autodesk.com. And first of all, I can search, and I can search for elevator. Let's see what happens when I do that. You'll see that there's a couple of things that come up. First of all, I have to decide whether I want an electric elevator or a hydraulic elevator. Oftentimes you use an electric elevator. Hydraulics are slow and you need a lot of depth into the ground for the hydraulic pump. And so I'm going to say, let's load the family of electric elevators. And I also need to load in some doors, elevator doors. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and check, check, and check and hit load. It's going to download the families. And now when I insert a family here, let's go to, I guess I can just go to insert and say load family. No, it doesn't want to do that. Sorry. Da, 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 da. Insert. Like, how do you do this? I can't remember. Gosh, freaking Revit. Let's see. Insert. Well, maybe I'll worry about that in the afternoon and do a quick thing here. But let's see. Load family. Like that. I forget how to. There's always like rules for Revit. It's like the English language, and then suddenly you like. Oh, sorry. Just go to architecture and component, and you can place a component. Sorry, architecture tab, component, place a component. That's so easy. And then you can see all the different other sort of families and things that we have here, including elevators. So elevator, I could say hydraulic or electric, and then the capacity, the payload basically. So if I wanted the big boy, 3,500 pounds capacity, I could do that. I could simply make an elevator, right? Now this needs to be rotated and put into place. And then I can build walls around it and I can put the doors in. So let me just show you how to do that. If I select this elevator and I rotate it so that it matches up and then I move it. This is always my least favorite part, trying to move these things around and get them to snap in the right place. Oh, I guess I didn't rotate it around enough. That's super. All right, let me just reinsert it here. Architecture component, place a component. The last thing we did was an elevator, electric elevator. That's good. So let's pick it. Nope. There we go. And let's place it. What you'll see is it's a pretty generic box. I'm going to go ahead and select it. Again, I'm going to zoom in here and try to rotate it around, but much more carefully. I think I did 27 degrees. Yeah, that works. And I'm going to move this over, let's see, module open. Here we go, over here somewhere. And so from here, and of course, I can always change it so that it's opening to this side. Let's just see what happens when I do that. I'm not saying that this is a great elevator location offhand, but we'll see. Um, and let's see. Oh, I know. I need to make walls around it, right? So I can do a wall, I can do architecture, I can do the base wall, let's say concrete, 8 inches. Right now it's going to along the center line. Let's say I want to do finish face interior. Okay, so I'm going to start over on this side and build this around the elevator enclosure. Close it up. All right, I can go to components, place components. Now instead of just elevators, I can look for elevator doors. Elevator door center. How wide of a door do you want? 42, 48. Let's try 48. Let's see what happens. That would be in center. All right, there we go. Now we have an elevator. And then last but not least, we want to take this elevator and it recognizes it's an elevator and it says the base level starts at level 1, top level stops at level 2. Let's bring that up to also to level 5 and hit apply. All right. And what that does, let's go to the 3D view. It didn't actually do it. I wonder why. Hit apply. Oh, the elevator is, but the walls aren't. Of course they aren't. All right, so let me just select the walls now for our elevator core. So there's a lot to throw at you guys, but I hope that honestly, like the higher level stuff is what really sticks with you. Like, why are we doing this? What's the logic of doing this? Because that's the strategy you set off. All the stuff that we're doing here in Revit, trying to figure out how Revit works and how it doesn't work and what we need to do. That stuff you only learn. I mean, that stuff you'll continue to learn. It changes over time as the software changes. Anyway, and so let me go to this section. And I think what's interesting about this is that you'll see our elevator core now. In section, if we were to cut a section through our elevator core, here's how elevators typically work. It could be Otis, could be Mitsubishi, whatever. There's your floor. Usually there's a pit at the bottom of the elevator core. And there you have some dampers and some mechanisms. Hopefully you never have to experience an elevator car uh, falling all the way down 4 floors and hitting these. And then at the top, there's always a penthouse. And so let's say that we have an elevator car that moves up and down. And of course, we have our floors and we have our walls, right? Basically, the penthouse, if it's a typical electric elevator, has one of these, has a gear and then a line, a cable, and then a counterweight, right? So that's why you'll typically see these things sticking up out of roofs and then the pits down at the bottom in this section, because there's some bottom stuff here and of course I think you put some catchers down at the bottom just in case. You hope you never have to anybody ever sees that, but all right. And then of course doors. All right. So that's kind of what an elevator looks like in section. And that's why I put the penthouse or put the walls up to the 6th floor, just to show that there'd be a penthouse sticking up there where you have some of the mechanisms and mechanics for running the elevator up and down, right? This is just basically a big wheel. Um, all right. Oh, a little bit of systems, a little bit of construction technology. But anyway, and of course, I'd want to sort of rearrange my roof or redraw it or something around this, and then draw a roof over top of this penthouse. So when you start to put these things in, that's one thing that you'll start to see, is that it's not like you just have one big flat roof, but you actually have kind of a roofscape, right? So for instance, if anybody needs to get on your roof, you have two options. One is that they have to just have a temporary thing and they have to sort of rappel up to it or down to it or whatever, which gets kind of crappy and chintzy. But But oftentimes that you'll see that the stairs and elevators just sort of serve the roof. So if I was a repair person having to put a patch on the roof or something, I might take the elevator up to this, get out, and then if I needed to get out in emergency, I have two means of egress, two stair towers on either end, like a dumbbell, basically. Okay. Now, I don't know. I don't really care for this placement of the elevator. What I'd probably do if I was thinking about it is maybe move it over here with an entrance there, and maybe just bump out this floor around it, um, and then have railing here, and then maybe bump the glass out or something. So I enter, and then there's an elevator. I can go this way or that way, etc. Right? So you can think about this as sort of the motherboard of the building. You can plug things into it module wise, and then you can run circulation up and down it and laterally from it. All right. As you can notice, I hope anyway, here's level one. You can see that it's starting to put all the plan information in. Level two, it has some of the Rhino stuff, but it's not actually cutting the Rhino stuff the way I'd want it to. So if I select this stuff, what I'm seeing is I'm just sort of seeing a generic mask from the bottom or from the top. It's not actually cutting through, and it's not actually putting in the line weights for the things that it's cutting through. And we'll look at this maybe in the afternoon. And if once I find it, I'll record it for you guys. But we basically have to go to graphics and display. No, it's visibility and graphics. And we have to sort of take these generic models and give it override, like how it displays, how they cut things. So let's see, no override. I'm going to say, let's see if I can do solid, color, weight, two or three. Patterns, let's a pattern color, let's say no override. Let's do a crosshatch. I can always come in here and change the density in the other patterns of it. I could do instead of drafting, I could do model. Let's see if I could do, well, it does not actually let me do that. I can make a new one. I'll just do a diagonal crosshatch. Let's try that. Backgrounds, whatever. I'll just hit apply and let's see what it does. Oh, it's still not doing it. So I'll just have to look and see. This is import symbol, 3DM, enable cutting and views. Ah, here we go. So now I've enabled the cutting in the views by selecting this and looking at its properties, each of these modules, the Rhino model, basically. And then later on in the plan, I can sort of go to the visibility graphics and change the how it's actually formatted, color, line weight, thickness, etc., and line type. I forget what they just called that. But anyway, I'll look into this over the afternoon. And when I have something to show you guys about that, I can show you. But that way you'll start to sort of see these things cut and see now that I'm in level one and two, I could, for instance, take this wall and actually make sure that it smacks right into this, right where I want it, instead of just eyeballing it. And that comes with, basically being able to see how these things are being cut through, right? This is called what? A symbol? What do they call this? Let's see. Trying to select it. There we go. Import symbol. Ugh, I don't know why it's called that. But anyway, let's see if I have import symbol or just symbol. Let's see. Well, at any rate, I'll find where this would be. Maybe it's just a dumb massing or solid. I'm not sure what I would call it. Mass projection surface visible for cutting lines. Override solid. Let's go with black. Let's give it an actual weight. It's just sometimes it feels like there's like several different ways to do this, and like finding the way that actually works sometimes can be a little chintzy. So I'll just hit that foreground, apply. Yeah, I'm still not able to do that. So I'll figure that out. It should just be me Googling it and finding it out soon. Anyway, so that was a lot to throw at you guys, but it's meant over the next week or so to be a helpful guide when it comes to doing more stuff in Revit. So, Gene, when we came back to your 3D view and you had a balcony out here on in Rhino, right? I can't just use the railing tool because there's no floor to attach the railing to. That's a Revit floor, right? You have a Rhino massing. That's why I said, there's a language probably for the Rhino light vessels where you just sort of pull the wall surface up to become a half wall, like a tray edge, versus let's say when you're doing stuff like that in Revit, in the Revit sort of floors and circulation, you could do something like that. You could quite easily actually add the railing where you need it just by simply drawing lines in the plans. Okay.
All right, thanks.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing and stop recording. That way I can get this uploaded